Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Watch Out. I'm your host, Pizzulo, and today I actually want to pick on a brand, not highlight one or a watch per se. The brand that we're going to actually pick on today is going to be INVICTA. And for those of you who don't know who INVICTA is, it's kind of hard to believe because they're out there all the time. They're on the Home Shopping Network. They're well distributed. You see them all the places in the malls. They have their own stores. They have their own shops. You can go get them online all over the place. It's a brand that's changed hands several different times over the past several decades. Most recently back in 1991 when it was bought up by an Orlando company, which it still owns today, and that's the brand that you presently know. They were in my last episode as part of some of the best watch brands that you could buy for under $100. They were in the bracket of 16. I think they made it to the Elite 8 before they got bowed out by Acrobos. And one of the reasons why they got eliminated was what I'm going to pick on them about today. It's one word, and one word only: size. Size matters, but in this case, not in a good way. Most people, especially men, that they segment most of their watches towards, even though they do both, most men can wear anywhere between 36 to 42 millimeters comfortably. If you look at the watch I'm currently wearing right now, which is a Mito, this is a 42. It's a Mito Commander. It's a 42, but you can see the size of my wrist. And the reason I bring up that, because most wrist sizes are between 7 and 8 inches that people can wear watches with. Mine happens to be, it can fit up to like about 7.2, but most go anywhere between 7 and 7.5 for most men. So a watch size, you do not want to go past your wrist size. So basically, as wide as your wrist is, basically is how wide the watch can be. And what it comes down to equivalent to is about 42, maybe 44 millimeters. Now I have in 3 INVICTA watches here. One they actually got right, which is a much older model. And I'll show you how they look on the wrist to demonstrate this, because most of INVICTA's watch sizes are well past 42 millimeters. And their only watch line that really complements to the 42 and the 40 millimeter is their slim line. And unfortunately I don't have any of those in, but it is around this size, which I just showed you on my wrist, actually works well. The first one that I'm going to show you is INVICTA's Triple Date Moon Phase watch. This is one that they bought into the public years and years ago. It's been around for quite some time. This is one of the models. They have so many models. This is just one of them, but I'm showing you for size reasons. This happens to be a 38 millimeter, which works very well on somebody like my wrist, as you can see. Looking good, okay? It actually looks good on the wrist. The size fits nice, not intrusive. As you can tell, even the size from the diameter up here isn't too big, so it looks absolutely ridiculous. And this is the watch size anywhere from 38 to 42 that most watch companies, Rolex, Omega, JLC, even Seiko, Citizen, they do not go past the norm of 44 to 45, but most of their watches is anywhere between 40 and 42. This is a little smaller at 38, which means a woman could wear this if they wanted to. It's on the bigger size for a woman's wrist, but for most part, it's going to be a man's watch anywhere between 38 and 42. And this is well within that range, and it fits nice, feels nice, and looks nice, which is the most important thing. Then INVICTA gets into their diver series. A lot of their diver series, we go now up to that 44 to 45 limit that I was talking about. So this is a typical diver's watch from INVICTA, one of many that they offer. But you can see now look how, okay, there's the size of my wrist, okay, and there's the size of the watch, and there's the size of the lugs, okay? So at a 45, you've surpassed my wrist at this point. You see how the lugs are actually wider than my actual wrist? Okay, even though the watch head still fits within the wrist, you can tell because at this point, it starts getting obtrusive. Okay, so you're now at the limit. If you wanted to, you could. Okay, it's not the end of the world at 45. And most of their diver series, the earlier ones, is in that 44 to 45 millimeter range, which again is where most watch companies stop. That's basically where they stop. And Invicta, that's kind of like where most of them begin, okay? Because this watch that I just showed you, the Triple Date Moon Phase, they don't make this size anymore for men. Okay, this is their smallest current size, which is the 44 to 45 millimeter. And like I said, you get that in some of their divers pieces, which can make a pretty decent watch as long as they stay within that range. Then they go into their bigger watches, okay, and then this is a 47 millimeter, okay, and this is where we start getting absolutely obscene, okay, because here's how it looks on my wrist, which you're supposed to wear it down here. Obviously, this has a leather strap, and you can see now you're just getting absolutely ridiculous in terms of size. It's too big, it's too wide, and it just looks ridiculous on the wrist after a while. And this is even considered small for most of Invicta's lines that are out there. Go take a look at Invicta in terms of their website. Go on the Home Shopping channel. You're going to see 47 is actually one of their smallest that they offer today. The 44 to 45 in divers you'll find here and there, but not much anymore. They're more going towards the 47 line, and that's their smallest. These people are going to 52, 55, and in some cases 60 millimeters wide. That's that big. That big. Okay? It's absolutely intrusive. It is ugly. It is just ridiculous. It looks like a toy watch. It looks like something that James Bond had sex with Inspector Gadget with. It's absolutely stupid how big they're making their watches. And if that's one thing that I could give them a stern warning with, you're going way too big and you're losing that segment of the market. I understand nobody's there, and there's a reason why nobody's there. It's because there's no resale value in that. You're going for a segment of the market where people have really, really fat wrists and people who are really, really big. And that may be okay for a very, very small segment of the market, but most of the market can't wear a watch past 45 millimeters. It doesn't make any sense. You can clearly see the difference between a 38 and a 47. Imagine the difference between a 38 and a 60. Okay, this is 47 compared to 38. Now you can see imagine what a 60 or a 55 millimeter with some of their Lupa lines and some of their Ghost lines. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then the bands. The bands are so thick and they have rails coming across, and it makes it even bigger and uglier. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. I don't care how much you discount them. People don't want to wear something ugly on their wrist. Not when you got competition out there from Apple, which is all a slimline type of watch, or you have different stuff like Garmin, which has that slimline type of look, or all the rest of your competition, which they all stop at around 44 to 45 millimeter mark for men. I mean, for women, it's even intrusive when they go to 42 and 44 for women. It has no business being there. And I see them doing the models on Shop NBC and all the rest of the places, and they're wearing them over their coats. Nobody wears a watch over their shirt and a coat, let alone coats alone. It looks stupid. It looks like something rappers would wear, and it has no place being on an everyday man or woman. So, in theory, I just wanted to pick on Invicta today to take their watch sizes down. Most people cannot wear large watches like that. They just sit in these stores and look ridiculous, and you have to discount them 95% off, and you still can't even move them because nobody wants to wear something that big. It looks more like a wall clock than a wristwatch. So thank you guys for being with me today. That's just a little advice I had for Invicta. I will see you on the next episode of Watch Out, and keep liking, subscribing, and I'll be back shortly on the next episode. Thanks. Have a great day.